Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige. This is Seeking Alexandria, and if you are new here, hello! And if you are not, well, welcome back. It's a little less exciting, but still welcome nonetheless. As I'm sure you've guessed by the title of this video, which is somewhere depending on what viewer you are using. Anyways, crazy. Today is part 2 of the Fat Kid Chronicles. I'm going to be going through like 9th and 10th grade today. I'm going to be speaking a little faster because there's a lot to jam in, and I don't want this video to be like 3 hours long. The last one was 40 minutes. A little bit ridiculous if I'm being honest with myself. So we're going to kind of jump in. It's going to be a little bit segmented, whatever. Anyways, because I'm trying to I want to really make it clear why each piece was important, why it made a difference in my life, all that good stuff. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump in. Okay, first I would like to start, by wiggling, no. First I'd like to start with school. Again, 9th and 10th grade would have been my freshman and sophomore year. As far as school was concerned, to keep it short and sweet, I started off my freshman year, oh man, my hair. Okay, sorry, blah, blah. Yeah, hair, I looked like crap my freshman year. No. Well, yeah, I did. But my freshman year, I had no desire to do good in anything really for like the first, 85% of the year. I ended up almost like getting in with the wrong crowd. I never did outside of school the stuff that they wanted to do. Like they wanted to go and, I don't want to say cause trouble, but they were kind of going into that kind of lifestyle. And for as much as I was willing to mouth off, not do my homework, F you during school, after school I was like, no, I'm not gonna go get in trouble. I'm gonna go home and have some dinner. I'm not gonna do this. So near the end of the year, I ended up falling out with this particular crowd, and I ended up falling in a little bit piece by piece with a lot of really, really great lifetime friends that were really awesome to meet when I met them. One of them is Michelle, and I didn't meet you. I've known her since, 4th grade or something. What, 3rd grade, Michelle? Something like that. But it was awesome because when she kind of became a bigger part of my life at the tail end or middle of my freshman year, was really when I was starting to have a divide with this bad kid influence that I was having. And it was so interesting because Michelle used to be, not anymore, but she used to be super quiet and so introverted and so concealing of her personal self from everybody. And I have always been this loud, obnoxious human being. And so when you put the two of us together, we were just the perfect juxtaposition for each other. I was the loud, flamboyant, well, let's be friends, bleh, person that she needed. And she was more of the, hey, Paige, how about you calm your tits a little bit, bring it down. Maybe we should do some homework, maybe just bring it down. And her and I, we quickly, we laughed all the time. We were super, just everything was hilarious because we were, come on, let's be real. We were great. And it was cool because she was one of the first people that I, when I think of my freshman year and the transition from mid-freshman to sophomore year in school, boom, Michelle's one of the first people that comes to my mind. There's a couple more friends that I have that I'll probably get into later years, Dan and a couple more, but for the most part, it was Michelle was such a big part of my freshman year. And I just can't even, oh, Michelle. Her and I have had some great times, and that there will be more of her and our friendship in future videos. But for now, we're gonna leave it there because I think that's where it's probably appropriate to leave it. Outside of school, there really, I don't want to say outside of school, but aside from school, there was a huge life-changing event that I guess is what I'm gonna call it, that happened my 9th grade year, and that might have been, kind of why everything fell into place. I'm sorry, English language, where did you go in my life? There was, I don't know if things fell into place because of this or not, but I had a neighbor, his name's Jake, and we'd been neighbors for a long time. We had ridden the same bus on and off together for a long time. We'd never really spoken until my freshman year. Well, one day, this weird kid, Jake, talks to me and he's like, "What do you believe?" And I was just like, "Can I help you? What are you talking about?" And we had never really spoken. And just because him and I were both, I guess, like so chatty in nature. I don't know. We both started kind of talking about my beliefs. And just to kind of set the scene for you, this was the time in my life where I was wearing oversized everything. Oversized pants, oversized hoodie, oversized t-shirt. Everything was black, and everything was done for the purpose of not setting myself apart from any wall that I could possibly just like blend into. Like, if I could lean up against something and blend into it, I was down. I did not want people to see me or to know that I existed. I was so grossly uncomfortable with myself that it mattered a lot that I not be seen by the outside world. So when this kid, this neighbor of mine, starts chatting with me, I'm just like, okay, well, where could this possibly be going? But I'll humor him, you know, situation. And plus, it was kind of nice to have someone to talk to that was different, because I had just fallen out with like all of these friends that weren't really friends, and it was interesting to have such a different like influence in my life. And anybody that's ever known Jake, I mean, obviously most of the internet will not know who he is, but he has a personality that even when you're mad at him, you find it difficult to walk away, because he wiggles his way right into your heart and he stays there. Jake, and I know you know what I'm talking about, Jake. So anyways, I talked to Jake for a long time on the bus, and eventually one day, after a lot of like phone calls and stuff like that, he invited me to youth group. So essentially youth group was, you had regular church in the morning, and you know, everybody goes to church in the morning, Sunday morning, everybody knows what that is. And youth group was like the kid church at night, like young adult, hence youth group, where we kind of all got together, but it wasn't formed as like a church service. It was like we all went to the youth center, which again, that was just the name of where that was the name of the building, was the youth center. And we all showed up, and we would like play games, eat pizza, and then we would talk about like with the youth pastor, like current events at the time, how the Bible tied in, like how beliefs tied in, all that kind of stuff. It was kind of like current events with a twist of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like there was Bible reading and that kind of thing. It was actually really cool. And I look back at it as an adult, and I love the idea, even if you take like, you know, you don't believe, you're not a believer, and you take that concept out of it, just getting kids that were like, you know, 13 to 18 years old to talk about the current events and like your beliefs or your thoughts on them. I think it was such an awesome, like eye-opening experience, because it got us beyond the age of like, oh, I'll just type up, I'll learn what I think on the internet. And it got to take us to like that next piece where you kind of began to develop your opinion, and you got a feel for who you were. Anyways, he invited me. Wow, this was a long 5 minutes. He invited me to Super Bowl Sunday, and the Super Bowl Sunday party was just like this huge blowout that my youth pastor used to have, where you'd show up, you'd watch football, and it was just a good time. There was a butt ton of food, and it was a really good time. And I can't say that, I say it twice, because it really was just a great party. And that was my first ever experience with youth group. Well, you can imagine, I walk in, picture it, Sicily, 1945. No, picture this awkward girl who is overweight, uncomfortable, wearing head to toe black, pretty much gives off the vibe that she hates life. And she walks into this building where there's like all these friendly people, and they're like, oh, hi, and they're like wanting to give me hugs and like, hey, what's up, and hey, nice to meet you, I'm so and so. And I'm just like I'm about ready to bust out a crucifix, because why are all these people trying to talk to me? Like in my world, you know, where I had come from, public school being like my main interaction with humans of my age, everyone was always such a dick, because, you know, I was the fat kid, and, you know, only so many people want to be friends with the fat kid, and then the rest pretend to be your friend while they talk crap about you behind your back. And so for me to walk into this place that was just instantly so inviting and so nice and so loving, it was like, it took me back in a way that it was shocking. And I think that's the best way I can think to describe it. Well, I go in, and not so much at this juncture, but I don't remember if it was Super Bowl Sunday or if it was a couple Sundays after. I ended up getting saved, which is like the church equivalent to accepting Christ, and you accept him into your life, and you are reborn spiritually, in the sense of, you know, you realize that your life is to serve him and his purpose, and, you know, not to be self-serving, not to be world-serving, so to speak. Well, I did that, and it was interesting because as far as the Fat Kid Chronicles side of this goes, I'm not going to go like ultra spiritual. If anyone's curious, I can obviously make a video on like my Jesus journey. But for the purposes of this video, it wasn't like, you know, I accepted Christ and I instantly felt like, oh my God, I feel so beautiful. You know, it wasn't it wasn't the act of being saved, and it wasn't the act of going to youth group or any of these things that made me change or begin to change my perspective during my 9th to 10th grade year. It was the people that I met there. And that's kind of where the point and the purpose of this story is really going to become what we're delving into next. So as I mentioned before, I met Jake, who was my neighbor, who quickly became one of my best friends. He has been a very good friend of mine for several years. He was a confidant for a lot of years. Just an all-around amazing kid. When you think of someone that you would be able to spar with, someone that you're able to laugh with, to joke with, to hang out with constantly, someone that you feel 100% comfortable with, that was who he was for me. Not in like a let's date kind of way, but in like a holy crap, we are awesome. Like how did the world not handle, like, how like, we were just so great. And I say that not to be like, oh yeah, look at how great we were, but I feel like all of us at one point or another in our life, you look at someone and you're like, wow, they were my dynamic duo. And Jake, for a couple years there, Jake was my dynamic duo. And I couldn't be more grateful for the type of guy that he was, in the sense of, he was so patient with me. And wow, that came out bad. He was patient with me in the sense of, like, he would try to, Paige, like, these people really care about you. And he would try to tell me that people cared about me. And I was so stuck on how I looked and how no one could possibly care about me that I would almost disregard, like, everything he said, the friendships that he offered, like, from him, from other people. I just disregarded everything because I felt like I wasn't worth it. And that's probably the theme of my 9th and 10th grade year. There was a young girl that I can't say name, but another person that really came into my life at this time. She was my age, and she was what I guess everyone would have called, like, the troublemaker of the youth group. She didn't really believe in everything that everyone else believed in, as far as Jesus and all that. She was kind of there out of obligation. But this girl, so naturally, of course, I gravitated right toward her. I was like, you're wearing all black and I'm wearing all black. You want to be friends? And we were both so freaking sassy. And it was like her troublemaker vibe, and like her ability to, like, just get in, like, she didn't even have to do anything and she'd get in trouble. Like, she'd breathe and it was like, and for all of the times that, like, I would run and, like, try to make it so she didn't get caught doing something that she should not have been doing by one of the several Jesus lovers that were, like, trolling the premises, she'd be, like, over here making out with somebody and I'd be like, dude, no, I'd go find him before somebody else found him, because then there would have been problems. And she would always laugh and we would laugh. Oh my Lord, would we laugh? We were so annoying. And this girl, she probably didn't realize it then, and she probably doesn't realize it now, but she has been, or was at the time, one of the most pivotal friendships I ever made, because she never was overbearing. She never overdid it. She just treated me normal. She never looked at me like I couldn't do something. She never looked at me like a fat kid that she was friends with. She treated me so blissfully normal, and we laughed, and she made it so it was impossible for me not to be comfortable with myself. And for anyone that's ever been, like, overweight and known that feeling, like, in the pit of your stomach where you're like, oh God, I'm so uncomfortable just existing. This shirt, is it too tight? Oh my God. And you just constantly feel so much discomfort. And when I was with her, I never felt that. She was such a positive force. And for as much as everyone else there couldn't understand how I felt and saw that much positivity in her, she was like, I could cry talking about what a positive influence that she was in that time in my life. And without going into, like, detail or anything, she ended up moving for a while. I think it was like a year or so. And I remember when she moved, I felt so, like, lost in a sense. I felt like she was what made me being in that youth group make sense. She was what made it all okay. She was what made me feel comfortable there. Like, how am I supposed to feel comfortable with all of these people, none of which I'd really taken the time to get to know because I was so happy and comfortable with her? What am I going to do? Well, I actually ended up becoming really, really good friends with her sister. And it worked out really well. They weren't the same. You know, her sister obviously was a believer. Her sister believed in, you know, Jesus and everything, all the teachings, all of that, that she did not believe in. And it was so crazy that they were both so, like, they were so similar in ways that they didn't even realize at the time. And in the sense of, you know, they would both be like, oh, I'm nothing like my sister, but they both gave me that same feeling of, I am so comfortable and like at home in my own skin when I'm with you. You are, and they, both of these girls, by the way, drop dead beautiful. I mean, like, just beautiful. And you know, as the fat kid, you're looking at them going, oh, you're skinny, you've got nice boobs, you've got a nice butt, you've got long hair, like, you're just everything. And they never, like, I don't think that they ever could see the beauty that like everyone else saw in them. And it was so crazy to me that how I could possibly feel so okay with myself with these two insanely beautiful girls, but they made me feel that way. They made me feel like I was normal with them, like we were the same. And that was so important for that time period in my life, that I felt comfortable with people that I never would have been able to feel comfortable with before. I would see a skinny person like 10 aisles down at the supermarket, and I felt uncomfortable, inadequate, like I needed to leave the store. And all of a sudden, I'm friends with these girls that are just insanely beautiful, and I feel comfortable. And that was one of the first times in my life that I realized, like, maybe it isn't me, maybe it isn't the people that exist, maybe it's how I'm feeling around them. And I started to really realize and resonate with that concept. And we'll get into that again, like in a later video, I'm sure. So I would say that, yes, like I was developing these friendships, and you know, after the first girl I was friends with, like after she moved, and I became friends with her sister, obviously I became friends with a lot of people at the youth group because I really like opened up, and I realized like after the first sister and then the second one, and I was like, okay, wait a second, maybe I can feel comfortable with other people. I was still uncomfortable with myself, but I was becoming confident in my ability to get other people to like me. And I think that for this period in my life, like the 9th and 10th grade year, that is going to be such a big theme with me. I wasn't comfortable 100% with myself, but I knew I could make people like me. I knew I could make people laugh. I was confident in my ability to be that, like, the fat, funny girl. Like, I knew I could do it because I had done it. And I felt like, even at the time, that wasn't confidence, but it was what I needed. It was like the sassy confidence I needed in my mind to like keep pushing myself, to keep making my situation feel better. And it's so interesting because at that time, you know, I was so young. I think I was 14? Because I graduated when I was 17. So I would have been, I think I would have been 14. As a 14-year-old, you know, you're not really thinking too much about these things, but as an adult, and you're looking back on it, and I'm going, wow, I wasn't confident. I was just really good at faking it. I was really good at making people like me. And the more that I made them like me, the better that I felt. And it's just so interesting how I did it completely backwards, but I feel like backwards is the way that so many kids do it that come from a similar background like mine, where you're like uncomfortable, you're not sure about yourself, and then this is kind of where you end up. Like I had a ton of friends. All of a sudden I had a bunch of people that loved me. I had actual friendships, not people that were friends with me just because we went to church. People that like I could call them at 2 o'clock in the morning, they would answer and they would talk to me, or I would call Jake and I'd be like, I got a question about Jesus. Let's talk till 4 a.m. Boom, done. And it was those kind of friendships that sometimes had something to do with God. Sometimes they didn't. And this was something that started happening both in church and then into my school life as well, which is where we're going to get into like the 11th and 12th grade. That'll be part 3. But it was interesting, or it will be interesting as we continue the story to kind of see how that develops. Now, okay, I would like to take like a real brief second, and this is more, I don't want to say it's like a disclaimer, but it's kind of like I want to put it out there. I know that a lot of the people that I'm talking about in this video and in future videos, my relationships with these people will have changed, you know, they'll be altered. I'm not going to say that my relationships with these people are the same as they were, you know, that I'm talking about events that happened 14 years ago. Obviously, my friendships have changed. I have changed. You know, a lot of circumstances have changed. And no matter what is going on with my current relationships with any of these people, any of you that are watching or whatever, I don't want anything to ever be misconstrued. I would never take away the impact or the things that happened that put you in my life when you were there, the things that were said, the friend that we were. I would never take that away. I would never lessen that as a result of where we are right now. And I want to make it like very clear to anyone that watches this that is included in these videos, whether it be by name or not. I am so grateful that I knew you when I did, and that you were who you were when I met you, and that for a lot of my friends, we were almost broken together at the same time, and we healed together. And it was so amazing to go through that I can't imagine ever having done it any other way. And again, for the millionth time, regardless of where we are in our lives right now together, I am so grateful for what it was when it was, because it was amazing. Now, we're going to jump real quick into fashion. I know I've mentioned it before, but it gets good. So remember how I said ninth grade starting out, it was like black everything. It was a black oversized like summer sanitarium t-shirt, an oversized black hoodie, and oversized black pants. Do you see the theme, right? Anything that I get, again, like, I'm not real. I'm not a pasty white girl wearing all black. By the way to stand out, Paige. You'd have stood out less wearing a flamingo costume. Good job. But my 10th grade year, I was like, again, you know, I was starting to be more comfortable. I was becoming confident in the fact that I could make other people like me. So how did I branch out? Still oversized clothes. I just added a touch of color, right? So it's cute. So I was wearing like shirts that were like huge. Oh, as I'm wearing... Why every time I talk about myself and then I'm wearing that exact item, as I'm wearing a neon pink shirt that's huge and flowy, but oh, good Lord. But anyways, overall, my fashion sense that I'm just going to round out 9th and 10th grade with was, yes, I wore oversized clothing, but oh Lord, did it become colorful near the end of my 10th grade year. Now, this is my favorite part of these videos. What did I learn? I do this for a multitude of reasons. One, like I said in my first video, I want to be able to tell you guys what I learned. If you're in a similar situation, I'm 27. So if you're 15 and watching this and you're overweight and you're not sure, I want you to know, like, if I could go back and tell myself what I learned, this is what I would tell myself. And I want you to please listen. And if I swear, if you have a question, if you have anything, please leave me in the comments or DM me or find me. I will leave my social media handles down below. You can send me a message. We can talk, because there's nothing I wouldn't do in some aspects of my life to go back and talk to the younger me, to clear up questions, to be honest with myself, or just whatever. And so please find my social media handles down below and contact me if you ever have like a question or anything. Now back to what I learned. I would start off by saying, first, it's okay to let acquaintances or people that you don't feel like you're jiving with go, to make room or to make the ability for new friends form. And this is something that I've even been learning like into the past like 6 months, where I have had friends that have reached out to me and basically been like, we're not friends anymore. And the old Paige would have not been cool with that. I would have been really upset. And the more that I think about like what I learned from this time period in my life, it becomes painfully obvious to me that maybe they're just doing what I would have had myself do 14 years ago. And you can't fault other people for feeling that way about you. And you need to realize that you can do it too, that it's okay for you to let go of things that maybe aren't working in an effort to make room for something that will happen or is better for you. It's okay for me, 14-year-old me, Paige, it's okay to let people love you. It's okay to let people in. It's okay to let them love on you. It's okay to let them hug you. It's okay to develop vulnerable relationships with people, even though it might hurt later. It's okay to let that happen. It's okay to do the things that you fear emotionally, because you only fear them because you've never experienced them. But it's okay to let yourself love people. And I'm not saying romantically, I'm saying friends. It's okay to love friends. It's okay to have friends that you feel incredibly yoked with. It's okay to have people that you feel like you love them, even if no one else understands your friendship or your dynamic. Like that other friend that I walked into youth group, we were both wearing all black, and I knew that that was my friend, and no one else understood it, and it didn't matter because I did and she did, and that's all that mattered. We were like the thickest of thieves, her and I, and it's okay. It's okay to let someone love you and feel vulnerable, and someone, like a friendship that you don't understand, that no one else understands. That's okay. 14-year-old Paige, it's okay to lift up your head and look up. It's okay to not blend in with the wall. It's okay to be different, but it's also okay to be known. I was so afraid of anyone knowing me, because if you know me, you can make fun of me. If you know that I exist, I'm an easy target. And 14-year-old Paige, that's okay. It's okay, because no matter if you're known or not, they're still going to make fun of you. So you might as well make your mark. That's why I do this now. That's why I started my YouTube channel, because it's okay. People will always hate on me. They will always say what they want to say. And if there's one thing I've learned from being fat, skinny, fat, skinny, fat, skinny, fat, I'm back to fat now. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that that's okay, because someone out there is always going to hate on you. I was 145 pounds, sicker than a dog, couldn't eat, and I was borderline going into like heart failure. And people were still hating on me because I had like loose skin and I was like saggy and nasty. Like, someone's always going to hate you. So you might as well be known. You might as well be present and be real. Be real with you. Be real with your thoughts. Get your opinions out there. Be known, because it's valuable to be known. For school, I learned that it's okay to do good. It's okay to apply myself. It's okay to be bright and get the right kind of attention. Not the kind of attention that's the F you, I don't have to listen to you teacher attention. That's crappy attention. And it's okay to get the good attention. It's okay to be recognized for being intelligent. Again, I didn't want to be recognized, because if I'm recognized, people will know that I exist. Oh no, what happens if people know I exist? They're going to make fun of me. Oh no, girl, they're making fun of me anyways. Be smart. Be you. Use your brain. It's okay to use your brain. It's okay to use your brain instead of your hurt to fuel yourself. Before, at the beginning of my freshman year, when I screwed off and I didn't know what to do and I didn't know who I was and I was just acting out and all this other crap, I was fueled by all the wrong stuff. I wasn't using my brain. I was being fueled by my emotions. I was being fueled by that inner angst that no one could identify. I was fueled by the wrong type of thing. And then by 10th grade, I realized I don't want that attention. That's not who I want to be. I realized it too late, and I screwed up my GPA and a lot of other stuff in the process. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking that you don't need to do that assignment and you're just going to throw it away, don't. Don't make a habit out of making decisions with your emotions, because it led me in a really bad, put me in a lot of bad situations. And it's okay to get the right kind of attention. Last but not least, it's okay to give, I don't want to say give the devil his due, but it's okay to draw attention to things or to people that maybe they've changed. You know, there could be someone that changed my life. Say Jake, for example, a very safe bet in my world. Say Jake, say right now I hated him and he was just the worst person in the world and I think that he's garbage. But I would never undo the impact that he had on me in that time in my life. I would never undo the friendship that we had. I would never take any of that away from him. And that's what I'm going to say to you. Regardless of how things go, always remember to go back and appreciate things how they were when they were. Because the impacts that people have on you, you can't undo that. That is too important. It is too important to really realize that you don't want to go back and change a thing. That you don't want to live a life that you're going to regret. And you don't want to live in the past. You don't want that. That's another reason that I'm doing these videos, is I don't want to live in the past. I don't want other people to live or repeat my past. I want you to know better. And so, lastly, that's what I'm going to say to you. Regardless of how things end up with people or circumstances in your life, don't ever look back on the times you had with them as a negative. Because if you live with that, you're going to live with regret. And instead of living with regret, just be cool with how things were. Understand why they maybe ended up the way that they did, and be done from there. But don't live a life like that. I'm so insanely grateful that Jake and I are not on the terms that I just used as an example. I'm so grateful that they're not. But even if they were, I wouldn't regret the friendship that we had and the life that we spent for those like 5 years as really, really good friends. I wouldn't undo that, because to go back and undo something would mean that I regret it, and I don't want to live like that. Okay, everybody, that wraps up part 2 of the Fat Kid Chronicles. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big old thumbs up so I know. And again, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I will catch you guys in a future video, because this one's already really long. And we will be back with part 3, which will, of course, be 11th and 12th grade. Lots of good stuff happened then, too. Boy, am I a wonder ball. Wonder ball? Wonder, 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 what's in a wonder ball? Anybody remember that? 90s kids? Hopefully there's some of you out there, because whoa. But anyways, everybody, I will talk to you later. See the social media handles down below. Come find me so we can be friends. Disco circus, whatever that's called. I'm so tired. Okay, everybody have a nice night.